Life is an amazing podcast, and it is presented and hosted by myself, Caro, and my sweet dog Sparky. Give it up for him. I hope you're ready. Enjoy. Alrighty, dear people, welcome back to another episode of Go For Your Life. And we're back actually in a hard lockdown in Holland, whatever that means. But it means I'm still traveling virtually. And not actually, but I'm traveling today to a place I really love, actually, in New Jersey. And Sam and I met last year in New Jersey. We spent some time in New York. We spent some time in Monroe. We did some birthday lunches together. Super nice. So welcome, Sam. Thank you so much for chatting with us today.
Glad to be here.
Yes, it's so exciting. So Sam, when I describe you, because you do so much, like I feel like you are, you're a dancer, actor, artist, yoga teacher, educator. What am I missing?
There are so many things. There's so much. I call myself a Sam of all trades because
Sam of all trades. That's a good one, actually.
I do a lot, and I do a lot for a lot of different things.
Yeah.
So.
Lots of different hats that you wear all the time, I would say. Yes. Yeah. No, and you wrote, so for everybody listening, Sam and I know each other through Jivamukti and yoga, and we're both yoga teachers, but, there's many other facets in life that we also really find each other in. And what I loved, actually, Sam, is that we stayed, like we met, we had a connection, and then we stayed in touch. And this year was such a year to be in touch. Like, I think it helped me a lot, actually, also to, not be in your presence, but kind of be in your presence virtually. I mean, we were meditating together. Sybil was there. I mean, I think it was such a crazy year, but I'm also very grateful that this year also meant that we did stay in touch, and that for that I'm really grateful. So, yeah. What a weird year. But you wrote this beautiful blog that it's on stageblog.com. I will definitely, everybody, you're not going to go like, oh, but where is this blog? We'll all have the blog in the notes. You can there'll be a link. And you speak a little bit about, I already like the title where it's questions about the body, authenticity, and sanity for live performance in the age of Zoom, because we're zooming around a lot these days. I already loved the title, and it reminded me of years and years and years ago, because I also have a performance background. So I was doing an audition actually for a theater school, and I was really young. And this guy goes to me, he's like, but you're not in your body. You should practice some yoga. And I remember and now it's funny for me to think about it because now I'm a yoga teacher and I'm like, yeah, he was right. And at the time I was really like, what is this asshole talking about? Like I'm already, I can act. I don't need to practice yoga to act. And then I loved, how you're writing also, everything is in the body. It's all in the body. So I thought it'd be really nice to, strike a conversation about that. Yeah, let's talk about what you mean when you say it's all in the body.
All in the body. It's interesting that we're both yoga teachers and have similar language that we can have about what it means to have this physical experience. And something that my teacher, Austin, has been talking about and referring to is the practice of Tantra. And I think Westerners love to conflate tantric practices with exclusively sexual practices, which are a part of it, but it's more than that. It's about recognizing that we have bodies and we have to have them. They're integral to our experience as these beautiful individual souls, the Jivan Mukta, the liberated soul. And we need our bodies and we use them daily. And so when I think about it's all in the body, when I think about that idea, it's recognizing all of our individual experiences, and it's about acknowledging what has happened to us in this material form. And if you're not aware of that, if you're not aware of what your body is or what it does, what's happened to it and what you do to it and what you do with it, then you're not living a connected life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And as a professional dancer, as a theater person, as a puppeteer, as an educator who has worked with other people to get them in their bodies, to then take on the study of yoga and become a yoga instructor like yourself,
Mm-hmm.
there's just a constant deepening of the awareness and understanding of what the body is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of my broken record lines. If you discipline the body, you discipline the mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
So everything about being it's all in the body is this notion of connectedness.
Mm-hmm.
If we start with the physical, it will end up becoming mental and energetic and then spiritual.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
it's all in the body because that's where we start.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I was really grabbed by what you wrote about. You wrote like what happens to the body when it's constantly in trauma, like when there is, we are carrying this trauma, but we are also still expected to perform on a high level with that same body. Like I would really like you to talk a little bit more about that, because I think especially now in Corona times when our bodies are under so much stress and strain, and how does that work?
Well, I have, so this year, talk about year of change and year of revealing things and understanding things about oneself. Because when you spend this much time with yourself, what else can you do but learn about yourself?
True.
Right? You spend time ignoring yourself during this time, I'm sure. That's not what I did. That's not what happened. I'm going to acknowledge that. I was with myself. Well, I got a diagnosis this year from a registered and licensed therapist for ADHD.
Mm-hmm.
And ADHD is attention deficit hyperactive disorder. I have the inattentive type.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a thing where if I'm not interested in something, I can't put my energy into it. I physically can't. And when I want something, when I am interested in something, I go deep and I focus. But a lot of things that come up around it are things like anxiety or depression, or the inability to sit still, the inability to stay with one thing or one project, the inability to start projects. Mm-hmm. So this opened up my eyes on a lot of things that has happened to me in the past, because I've struggled with anxiety and depression my whole life, but I never understood that it was about my ADHD, which I learned about this year. I'm 31, learned a new thing about my brain and how it works and how it functions. And it's going back to the body. Mm-hmm. So I've been living with anxiety for so many years. And anxiety, for those who don't know, is literally your body is in a constant state of fight or flight. Mm-hmm. And there are varying degrees of it. So, and I'm not a therapist, I'm not a psychiatrist or psychologist, but this is what I've learned about this. And this is how I've internalized it. When your body runs at a normal level, it's going. And you have these little dips and flows. Mm-hmm. Well, if you're always above that normal line, then when you dip down below it, it's a much deeper dive. Mm-hmm. When you come back up to that line, you go a little higher even because of the stress it took to get up there. Mm-hmm. So I'm always running a little on edge. Mm-hmm. And so that puts me in a constant state of trauma, mm-hmm. of always being a little tense, of always being a little afraid. It's exhausting.
Yeah. So but at the same time, you are and were performing dance on a high level. So it's and that's the same body. So how was that? How is that?
It's something I'm still unpacking, and mm-hmm. It looking back, there are times when I recognize different patterns I had as a person, different ways I existed in relationships with people, not just romantic or sexual, but in my friendships and with my colleagues in school. Mm-hmm. And when you're in a constant state of trauma or trying to just survive, you can't thrive. Mm-hmm. You can't. If you have not taken care of your basic needs, you cannot take care of anything else. Mm-hmm. So just me being able to make enough money to live, to have enough food to eat, to sleep well, all is conditioned by, the state that my brain is in, which is always just at that slightly higher level than average. Mm-hmm. And so the times when I dipped down, it went slightly lower than average too. So I have these big ups and downs in my past. And so, I still have them, but I'm able to recognize them and I'm able to see them. And I think what's happened this year is, for me personally, I witnessed so many other people go through that
Mm-hmm.
first time.
Mm-hmm.
And for the first couple months after here in the United States in March, everything shut down. In Jersey and New York
Yeah.
City, shut down.
Mm-hmm.
So, I ironically enough was prepared for the massive depression that I had and for the massive levels of anxiety that I had. I was like, this is like, I could almost watch from a meta space of like, okay, this is what my body does when it's anxious. This is what it does when it's depressed. What can I do?
Mm-hmm.
What do I not have control over? And I think I was really able to manage a lot of those feelings and emotions better because I'd already been through them, one, but two, I was so aware of what my body needed in those moments. I was so connected that
Mm-hmm.
when through it, I think I've come out of it a lot easier
Mm-hmm.
than a lot of people.
Yeah.
So saying that after I had COVID, I had coronavirus
Mm-hmm.
at the end of January before it was like a major diagnosis, before people could really test for it. I
Mm-hmm.
had it for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So when your body is in that state, it doesn't heal well.
Mm-hmm.
You lose the ability to eat properly. So I had a lot of bad eating habits. Either you eat crappy food all the time, or you don't eat at all. My sleep was all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
When you cannot take care of your basic needs, when you cannot sleep well, when you cannot eat well, when you can't take care of your mental health in addition to your physical health, which is
Yeah.
all,
Yeah.
you suffer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And also that is then, as you said, like it's all in the body. Like that also gets stored in the body, of course, you know?
Because, in the yoga practice that we talk about, we understand that there is the physical body, but then the subtle body, the energetic body that
Yeah.
we use to move the
Yeah.
physical. And then there's us inside the Anandamaya Kosha, as the ancients called it. And it's the true soul that lives within all of this meat, flesh stuff. That's who we really are.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're trying to get there. We're trying to reveal that. And so if you ignore the body or you ignore the things that are happening to the body, then you'll never get to that place of feeling yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You have to feel the body. You have to feel the emotions. You have to think the thoughts.
Yeah.
But the trick is to not attach to it, to not.
And the way you feel the body, you know, like for you as a dancer, for example, has that also, or even your relationship with your body, has it changed when you started practicing yoga and got more aware of your body and your connection with your body?
Oh yeah, there is a level of strength and flexibility I didn't know I had access to until I started practicing yoga. It's wild. Like I grew up in Lower Michigan. I grew up in a dance studio that was rather small. It was one of the best in the area. I will give them that. But my technique was never quite what I thought it was. I thought it was hot shit. And when I got to undergrad, I still wasn't quite aware of why I was different from everyone else, and how I was moving was just slightly different. And I didn't realize it was because they had a higher level of training than I did. They had better training than me. So when I started practicing yoga really seriously after grad school, which even in grad school, I was more connected then than I was in undergrad. There was still a level of disconnect I was experiencing. And mind you, I've been practicing yoga since I was 14, 15 years old. So it's been, going on 16, 17 years now that I've been practicing yoga. But it wasn't until summer of 2016 when I took my first Jivamukti class. And I knew then that that's the studio I wanted to study at. And the second class, I was like, I'm going to do my teacher training here.
Yeah, I was the same. I'm in. Sign me up for this club.
And so, but when I started doing that and I started practicing and I started noticing these amazing changes, like, why is my leg so far up here? How am I holding these positions?